war drums in the Gulf, naval drills in contested waters, and Washington deploying what it calls an armada. As tensions between Iran and the United States intensify, Turkey steps forward with a clear message: no new war in the region. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has drawn a firm line: no Turkish boots on Iranian soil. Speaking aboard his plane, Erdogan warned that any military strike on Tehran would ignite chaos across the region and serve nobody's interests. Turkey has made its opposition resoundingly clear to every world leader in the mix. Erdogan revealed he has been in direct, high-stakes talks with both Iran and the United States. He spoke first with Iran's president, then quickly with U.S. President Donald Trump, seeking a path to cool rising tensions and prevent the region from spiraling into further conflict. The warning comes as both Washington and Tehran signal military readiness. President Trump has deployed what he described as an armada of naval forces to the region, reinforcing America's presence in sensitive waters. With naval deployments increasing and rhetoric sharpening, Turkey is positioning itself as a voice for dialogue. Ankara insists that further escalation would only drag the region into deeper uncertainty at a time when stability is already fragile.
Tensions are rising once again in the Middle East as Iran and Russia prepare to launch joint naval drills in the Sea of Oman and the northern Indian Ocean. A move that comes at a highly sensitive geopolitical moment. According to Iranian media outlets, Fars and ISNA, the joint maneuvers will begin Thursday, soon after Iran's Revolutionary Guards staged separate military exercises in the strategic Strait of Hormuz. Rear Admiral Hassan Maqsoodloo, spokesperson for the drills, said the exercises aim to strengthen maritime security, deepen naval cooperation, and coordinate efforts against what he described as threats to regional stability and maritime terrorism. Previous diplomatic efforts collapsed after Israel's unprecedented strike on Iran in June 2025 triggered a 12-day war, briefly drawing in the United States.
A new window of opportunity has opened, under which we had the second round of the negotiations with the United States earlier today here in Geneva. We are hopeful that negotiation will lead to a sustainable and negotiated solution which can serve the interest of relevant parties and the broader region. At the same time, as demonstrated during the aggression of 13 June 2025, Iran remains fully prepared to defend itself against any threat or act of aggression. The consequences of any attack against Iran will not be confined to its borders. Mr. President, the United States and some European states persist in the imposition of unlawful sanctions, military threats, the engagement in force posturing, and the issuance of explicit references to the possible use of force by the United States, including significant military deployments in the region. Such actions constitute a continuing violation of the prohibition of the threat or use of force as enshrined in Article 2, Paragraph 4 of the Charter of the United Nations and must be brought to an immediate and unconditional end. Lasting agreements can only be achieved through mutual balanced commitments and respect for the legitimate rights of nations. The Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons explicitly recognizes the inalienable right of all state parties to develop, research, produce and use nuclear energy, including enrichment, for peaceful purposes. This right is inherent, non-negotiable and legally binding. It is not conditional upon political considerations, nor can it be suspended or reinterpreted arbitrarily. Any attempt to portray this right as revocable fundamentally contradicts the letter and the spirit of the treaty.
Previous diplomatic efforts collapsed after Israel's unprecedented strike on Iran in June 2025 triggered a 12-day war, briefly drawing in the United States. Now, with diplomacy cautiously back on track, warships are moving into position. Public tracking data from the United States Naval Institute appears to indicate that the USS Lincoln could be operating near the drill zone. US President Donald Trump has already deployed what he called an armada of naval forces to the region, signaling Washington's determination to maintain pressure. Meanwhile, Iran has once again demonstrated its leverage over one of the world's most critical choke points, the Strait of Hormuz. The narrow passage handles a significant portion of global oil and liquefied natural gas shipments. Iranian officials have repeatedly threatened to block the strait during periods of tension, though it has never been fully closed. This week, Tehran announced a temporary partial closure of the strait for several hours during its own security drills, a reminder of how quickly energy markets and global trade routes could be shaken. As Russian and Iranian vessels prepare to operate side by side, the message is unmistakable. Military coordination between the two allies is deepening. Whether these maneuvers are a show of strength, a signal to Washington, or a calculated bargaining tool in ongoing talks, the waters of the Gulf are once again on edge.
The world is watching the Strait of Hormuz. And tonight, it's not just diplomacy unfolding in Geneva, it's missiles. As nuclear talks between the United States and Iran begin, Iranian media announces something explosive. Live missiles fired toward the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow artery through which roughly 20% of the world's oil flows. This is no coincidence. This is choreography. On one side of the table, negotiators. On the other, warships, bombers, and ballistic missiles.